Abusia yemo bibi akwaba. Emfa Mega TV and platform we saw. President John Mahama aba abontin na ni se o se oye public office holder I will say by 31st of March 2025 we know first quarter of the year no now we declare assets every inti no publicly no was submitting a document at the amount the what at the auditor general yes inti yanko na yanko ti nsema you are president Akufo-Addo okan na ochiremu a sa ade we oye public office holder na say when di so a by deadline year 31st of this March it is either you face severely punishment including removal from office inti no ensema odi tudwa yamfa credit no ema channel 1 TV omo mo boy ya nyansa nsem go bia koba yebeto aso.
I was just looking at the statute on Assets Declaration, and under Article 286 of the 1992 Constitution, it names the President, the Vice President, Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Members of Parliament, and judges. And then again under Act 550, Public Office Holders Declaration of Assets, it includes public officers, including those in the civil service, public corporations, and statutory boards. Then it also includes chief executives of all public corporations. It includes district chief executives, and then members of the Council of State. There are many people in public office who do not know that they are covered under this assets declaration regime. And so, Auditor General, there must be a reminder to all these people that they are covered under the assets declaration regime. And so I have presented mine this morning, and let me make a few remarks. Senior government officials present, the Auditor General and staff of your department, we're very happy to have you here this morning at the presidency, friends of the media. I've just performed a simple but brief, very important act of presenting my completed assets declaration forms to the Auditor General as required by Article 286 of the 1992 Constitution and the Public Office Holders Declaration of Assets and Disqualifications Act 1998, Act 550. Ghana's assets declaration regime and its related activities have often been shrouded in secrecy, and only unless in special circumstances compliance is often difficult to measure. In times past, I would privately have presented these forms to the Auditor General in fulfillment of my statutory obligation. I've taken this step of presenting these forms publicly as a way of injecting some openness and transparency into the process of assets declaration. I've always maintained that while it is all well and good to punish corruption, a more effective way of addressing the canker is preventing it from occurring in the first place. I honestly believe that if properly curated and enforced, the assets declaration process can become a sustainable tool for tackling corruption. Corruption by nature is insidious and thrives under the cover of darkness. The more light that is shown on it, the more likely that it will be fought successfully. I've also taken this step to send an unmistakable signal to all public office holders, especially those that I have appointed, that I take the declaration of assets very seriously and expect full compliance from them. I've asked the Chief of Staff to send word to all appointees to ensure that they declare their assets by the end of the first quarter of this year, that is by 31st March 2025. I wish to stress that any appointee failing to meet this deadline would face severe sanctions, not excluding removal from office. Even as we strive to hold past government officials accountable for their stewardship, I deem it even more imperative to enforce anti-corruption among our present public office holders. Charity, they say, begins at home. I'm therefore determined to take the necessary steps to ensure that we fight corruption vigorously so that the precious little resources that have been entrusted to us by the Ghanaian people are used only in their interest. There have been issues raised about the effectiveness of the current assets declaration regime. We must take advantage of the current constitution review process to strengthen the assets declaration regime to make it more relevant to changing times. I believe that we must move to a regime where the assets so declared can be published before and after public office, so that the phenomenon of unexplained and overnight wealth, obviously earned through the proceeds of corruption, can be checked. I trust that a healthy debate can be had over this issue and consensus built on the way forward, so that collectively we can defeat the unwholesome canker of corruption. I thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
Yes, so we and Sama, you are John Mahama or the two Edra, bra, ye ceremony no etimi ekoso. Na adia ba kwa Ghana for bisa mega men so aye de bia me bisa ne se. Edientia those kind of declaring of assets no enye in camera. Edientia enye in camera na ye private. I was seeing who be japade. Let me read the comment section. We see a spouse, ayin, omo yerenum na we see who mo japade. Omo busia for important figures be. I will see who mo japade. Because a honum and uncle for fahum a dilu to a my way. Kufado. The king of Forata Gabia Sorach dark 1G position. And so Sika kwa we wo enye sika ketwa. Inti I was saying, I was sad we no enka eye in camera or what can I say on declaring and a declaration in camera. Any kinds of movie free camera. I was say the pakon or die back or East Leguani who only dine or rent any who or down or cantonment any who and your fee and after 2-3 years. I na me we a dinner unya a juma ben now ye. And I say, wakati na ye sing simple and our fast so nyai. Iti idea Ghana for omonia bre pass constitution no. It makes a sansaran komu declare no publicly in camera. And what Ghana ni bia who de ekoswa and kebe idea Ghana for ni beje ho. Because they say no bifa kuntuna se wa e de koma the accountant amukan saying the auditor general na wiachiri bibi ba mu a yenhu no say kurulu na akọ honum boko na eso akata. That is impunity. It must be stopped. Yenkotie onyensani Ivan Che Innocent on national service standard. Ghana die ye mobo papa. I say, well, do you know something? Ghana sebi ebusi nyado ya yenye sika no a ho kire do koro ye no ana timamufo ma men kan say I say yetimamufo I say ye adwuma na obi di so mfaso ye adwuma na obi di so mfaso. And it is very sad adwuma na ye no ye na ye yo ena politicians and edi so mfaso. It obi timi ebia ne say ye kan obi timi kwatena national service na wa compile ghost name enkofo bi ni fi Abidjan ebi fi Lomé ebi fi Madagascar na wa compile say nipa we national service wodi 200. You see a sickness ye yare yenkoti Ivan ye koba e beto aso
Mahama oral book ni one of them away New Testament nyame adom watching the Old Testament mbeka ho captured almost 85 million Ghana cedis stadium renovation, i.e. a Sipon Sports Stadium, Tamale Sports Stadium, and Accra Sports Stadium. Sa 3 stadium winning na 85 million Ghana cedis. Pacho mo abo takrade e second mu kohwe se Sipon no ye wi a takrade the that second mu twa na mo fan send ye se mo wi a Tamale there no that is Ali Mahama Sports Stadium. Mo check my se mo wi a Accra Sports Stadium there ebe ye no ha ye na be ko ho no mo na minim ne nti Ivan ayedin Ivan Asa ne asema ye kan wonte.
Say me tie mo.
Edus ye ni nkomo e.
Jabi, the kind I mention na mention what here for.
Before so beto aso no. Ne o nyame na oba bebu na do no wa fiji maba. Thank you.
Jabi, I mention what here for na menka say. Adia Bakwana lead the conversation up to the election has to do with accountability. Because upon this particular platform, I remember the number of times I recount to issues of corruption plague this country. Book you need figures here, market Kenya, no, give you a graphic understanding of Niama si Okroma say I am very horrific. Because of that, a minor I lose a huge sums of money. So after elections, you know, Adia Ghana Nibia Tiabontia or shame say what is next? Is it going to be business as usual? And I buy they are not kakeke. And I think so her science now clearly there is this slight demonstration that government is really committed to doing something about the situation. And no, and I Ghana for shame. The last week, you share what ensued between the special prosecutor, Kendo Foriata, and other people, and the Akoso Ewokroma saying. But Adeba Kwa Ghana form for morning call, they are looking at Kendo Foriata, what to crime, or Kosiki care, our bontin, special prosecutor, Channel, were declared a fugitive. So the conversation, you know, there are other key issues that are quite black, people are not looking at. And that is the side I want to hit on this morning before I will look at the figures. JB.
Yes, sir.
Makachiro said, on my yeti, politics, leadership, governance, I take a joke 10. You put two serious people at leadership position. And it's the reason why in Nema I see in the past, you know, I see Ewo Kroma saying. Kenofurata in question was a finance minister in Ghana for 7 good years. MPP for at some point in time were fed up.
Yeah, sure.
Ebisan say buying too, but said Osikano and Nebuchadnezzar in nature or an absence on the union free. So this guy, as a finance minister, messed up the economy of this country.
I address him accordingly. Ken Oforiatta, he's not a guy.
Now I'll be a guy. A man. No, it's just for the sake of conversation. This is an informal conversation. There'll be a better day, I can say. So the guy was a finance minister for 7 good years in this country. And on the supervising man near my course, Sabi and Kwasi Abosia Ghana boy, I'm on mine that coming in, and he was the person behind it. Mekachro say, O fucking Oforiatta the Nisi Krum now they are abiding the Chibizan say, Ken, O Bobosia, Chrenyan Sadia, what the year, one share with a Humtia Babuno Kuno, cause all Yanyan Sadia Bakokran Canchero. Omoye, Domoye, and Merwana and Kokrafosika, and ordinance Sato to say. Yet the air bomb my whole buying. JB. Abraham John Mahama airco in 2016.
Yeah.
He built a hospital Ewo Kumasi, a ferry hospital, a medical village.
Yeah.
Our recreation, every single thing you expect to see in a modern hospital, you find it there.
500 bed capacity.
Good. Ewo Kumasi.
Yeah, sure.
For 8 good years, that hospital was left to rot.
Now you're 93% completion as at 2016.
Yes. Me no ne Captain Smart Betina program was my Deputy Minister of Health, Freka, said the following month that hospital was going to function.
Yeah, that's
till date, after the hospital, no, I say, this joker left this country and he has the infantry to tell me now will say, or no, call America, I could seek care. You see, America just said we put jokers in power. Because this guy, any sense of shame, the last thing he will do is to tell us, or Kosiki care in America. And hospital now see, no, a Mayo Clinic. So, who are field of medicine, Mayo Clinic coming to your mind, and you know, say it is one of the most expensive and the best medical facilities in America.
I see.
A lot of medical research, of course, in recent times, now most of them is being done through their faculties. Then I say for Mayo Clinic is one of the best facilities you can find in the world. This joker, after toying and messing with Ghana, na Ghana tetia pansam no, or not timinya kukodro, a sorokse or Mayo Clinic akosiki care. Onya kwenya busia na oboye no. Na some of us were here advocating say yam fine investing in your healthcare system. Oh, Kroma say. The guy insisted say okwa akosi cathedral. Emma yasuma asofo asabi ebinum so say wonhu de wo mutim e sore call Israel so mo kofa bo aba Kroma. As a nipa dwe te say nkra. And the president justification is say yakona yekosi cathedral na God will help us to avert civil war. Now nkradwin way say adwin way and edibu man. How can that country progress? The president no thinking say yesi cathedral we are calamity be a civil war be na okoko d'Ivoire yamosokro. The biggest cathedral was built by a president. Yeah. 2016 2013 war no see here no omudwane it say be ankane the cathedral couldn't save them. Sikana yedi besi hospital wa say no jebi ye tam de kotu amena ukọ amena no ma entwere ne ye fa ne say double and edi agro. They couldn't even build that particular thing. After messing up with this health facility and health infrastructure, nurses and doctors of Moriyo school no they are still at home. Nurses of Moriyo school 2020 they are still at home. Because facilities anywhere you post to be their home because as of for ne Kendo Foreta and the government then were telling us instead of investing in hospitals and other healthcare infrastructures ne they all young to us money or the Sikano Kosi Cathedral and then asama bana kronoa bana brabeyi wanoa. That joker has the infantry to write to the special prosecutor say, oh, me wa clinic me ko sikike na me kra no me nim da me bana se me wia. That tells you say, o man ankasa na yenye serious. And I'm saying say Kenoforata either dead or alive, the guy must be brought into this country. Either dead or alive. The guy must be brought back to this country and answer for what he has done.
Na say ofri mudia na asabasa.
Oh, that answer. You see, Mese Babi and Mradu no, we need to establish a friend a conventional deterrence. And I will have what happened in Germany. The Nuremberg trials. Nipana Adolf Hitler do mudin se muno. You don't know Janeko Argentina. Israel for actually kochichi birum do mo kokosho mo ne yokuomo. E dodo na wuye. But the Nuremberg trial, no trial people in absentia.
Yeah, sure.
Even after their death, no, they were convicted. And the house, even though this person was not tried in person, they were tried in absentia and they were convicted even after their death.
Yeah.
And the Ukraine, you can still be convicted because the crimes these people have committed, no, JB, say yentimi anya mana nyansa na hobia, abanya asase, it will end up the same way. That was why the last time I catch us, I'm for your position and who ye any farm fair because him so messy up, no consequence be that. But we need to change that narrative. My man for who say, oh messy up, even though your government, the consequences are there for you to face. And it's the reason why this particular Kenoforata thing matter. And not just Kenoforata, several other crimes I mean in the book numbers we need to recover these monies. Because governance is not an avenue where people come amass wealth to themselves and then they take care of themselves, and the vast majority who invested their time, energy and everything into that government become poor. And in the end of the day, about a cycle. Whereby we are not whereby we are not whereby we are not the input you expect, you don't see it. And there is something I told you on this platform. Maybe we will fee.
Okay, masters, bass or bro for those.
No. Me catch all this particular platform say we were being ruled by a cartel of unintelligent criminals. That was okay. Good. What who national service scandal now?
Yes, sure.
What who say how the whole deal was cooked? That you could see these are nipo munim nyansa and no cookie that particular deal. Akrom for bunim nyansa because national security and national service scandal no akora say bi obi a onim nyansa bia kora no behu say ade na e cookie no enya ade nyansa wom ojebi. How do you explain say wo ye your friends are fraud now after one person one Abubakar something then you slot in his name 226 times you are paying the person from the same database nyansa ni be na be say ade we again. So oko details into some of the names from that seminar.
Yeah.
There is this Alaji something all your national service within 92 years. I'm telling you
error.
No, it's not error. It's part of the database. Now, what we need for 92 years or national service? I'm telling you, that these are a bunch of unintelligent criminals. Because Abayinuna Onimyan Sentino imported these people to come to government, and when you bring idiots into government, they will collect to their idiocy best.
I see. Can it hear?
They say these are criminals. I would omoba Abayinuna more that opportunity now. Now say, "Sabi omotinche no mudi nsemu no mewura Abayinuma. Nsemu no be double because this time no, they have faculty, they have resources, they have everything, they even have power to do whatever they are doing."
I see.
And unti na nipa ote National Service Secretary betimi afọ obi a wadi 92 years. Di yan say so national.
Kenya ni bi kra ka ho.
Yes, omoko internet and omo ye photo shopping. Enti ofa Kenya ni nanim no wa man Ghana din. Na nyansa ni because memeti yes mekasa me ye fraud da ubewu akwa aba ma wona na aba, you will never find out.
I see.
Oh yes. Because if you are smart, that is what you do. Oh, na me bokro no, you can never uncheme. That's what I'm telling you. But these people, because they are not smart, and you know, no, I don't know, because I'm no, the criminals are very intelligent people.
Yeah.
Because I call medicine.
Oh yeah, criminal nasi echiwa no wejimi.
Exactly. Because your friend is saying medicine or moye. A man for a medicine at the Messiah there. There are other people who also invest in other side called pseudo medicine. Do you know what they do? Medicine, no, your friends say you deal with pathology. Or they almost create sad near man. For instance, there is this crime syndicate I say. Omonam ye free medical care for a man for no monam no more surgery. Go to your friends saying there is this country called your friends saying Mecca omobuy medical mercenaries.
Yeah.
What they do is omoba facility now. They were rendering free your friends surgery for people. Not to know in Sasana omoye organ harvesting syndicate. Ye biya yema when you want to see a kidney back. Operation omoye free no. But omonti later alarm no bro ya no. Not just say obi a go through that surgery ni bia o kidney back one ira now and na kidney see a kidney near two back be ya adwuma until say bibi besi no hwan na obeda sara ko clinic say me koye say me kidney wo ha why be that nti say ya twa ye ntwa ye woni so omoni ba omo so no not this organ harvesting way no aye big business around the world. These are criminals. It took ages for that particular thing to be discovered. That is what intelligent criminals, when they operate, that is how they operate. In America, some of the recent cases, crimes were committed in the 30s until recently.
In the 30s?
Yes. Until recently, and Omutimi identify some of the culprits. Try a modern as a phone. But these are people, and I'm so Munimian Santino, crime no crime committed, they don't even know how to do it. And you're for 92-year-old because 92-year-old or national service is a red flag.
I see.
Pictures no more far from internet. Google no more they changing Ghana. Do you know? The very moment Kenya knew who Kenya knew anymore, obviously it will give you out. But I know so these are some of the things that they did. And JB, the side of it is
and even with national service, the moment I'll be D40 and above, what mean national service?
I mean, so as an ordinary person, now or shower into what has happened, you have that slight inclination after 40 years of crown. So I ever say in a national service secretary, we go for be 92, the India shame. I just don't find any answer.
Maybe I know so of government institution that my that's on your national service. I am foul. The empire say that on your opportunity until Omuka to call you and say ya foul.
No, you also know, sir, 90 years you are above any government work because retirement is 60. So there is no justification.
Now, point in here, no,
no, sir, can't the normal routine processes are either 92 years, Baba can be a private work, government work, you don't qualify.
So, according to ORA, Maminka, we quick one about the national category. Right. According to ORA, I would say US dollars 4.5 billion national service payroll scam. Investigative by reveals that the inclusion of 200,000 fictitious names, commonly referred to as ghost names, on the National Service Secretariat's payroll between 2020 to 2024. Consequently, the fraudulent activity is estimated to have caused financial loss amounting to approximately 68.46 billion Ghana cedis. That is around 4.5 billion US dollars if calculated based on monthly allowance of 715 Ghana cedis per ghost names over 48 months.
And you know, what you say? Sa ghost names, you know. And you know, say some of the ghosts are Ghana card.
Almost also need fingerprints.
Yes,
but
deliberately, no, omo create Ghana card for them, and they created fake university IDs for them.
I see.
And you call UCC, every university be our kind of omo generate omo your friend is saying student ID using the year and maybe course no way depending on which university. These people generated fake university IDs. They inserted these things in the database. Student or call UCC as for Obia who not a faker, obviously it will give you out. So Obia we are smart or commit a crime, you know. You could see clearly these things are never ever give you out. And I am telling you the quality of personnel are very often in the name of dirty politics. Yes, so if the person the sense of thinking here very inferior na obetimi adwen to this level na wodi nipa we ba aban mu a question na bi say won say improvement be na odi ba aban na apart from so be bokro no, and that is the problem that we have created. So JB, I think crimes like this, you know, can never go unpunished. We need to set a stage yebetimi ayesa nema we nyina different the man for who said who your mind sika in the first place the money will have to be recovered. Yagia we no na sentence bia o hobia na se nipa no face bia no you face it. We don't do this thing because we want to punish people. Now mom say be betimi aye as a deterrent. Other people will not do it.
Yeah, sure.
Potential people in government will be criminals who will also be deterred. Say nipa we ya dey we no consequences in there. How can we do these things? And one thing I me person me saying can one say
okay.
What na say bisa won say Argentina state institution in executing their functions, you know. Back for meeting adwum no national service scandal way according for the last 8 years.
But we period from 2020 to 2024. So we a 4-year period.
No.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
So they've been in government for 8 years.
Yes.
But we according to this report, no,
yes.
within a 4-year period.
Yeah, I'm not even looking at the oral report. I'm talking about the events, the fourth state investigation. Year 2017
yes.
So what bisa won say? Say enya institutional weakness and a systemic weakness and a year we no ever na say na ba akofo betimi atena one office abokro no for 8 good years.
But the first one na Mustafa no is it former sportsman is a former sportsman
yes
yes on na NSS boss and so no says be
no me dey say ever na say and that rot no akoso for that long stretch of time.
Sure.
Now no institutional mechanism be yet identify these things. There should be a system in place. I bet me yet me recover, yet me monitor some of these things. They don't happen. It's the reason why I always have issue with the Auditor General's report. Yet Nansema Crono no coso admonum wie. Now for Yakofa book kakra ni asesa ni nyina gumu kan kra unwie. Auditor General report all afekra untumi kan wie. And so what mechanisms and you put in place at the institutional level, no? We deal with the corruption as it happens. There are structures in place just to ensure say we prevent the crimes instead of say these are weaknesses going forward, no? We also need to look at and address them. And yes, sir, there be a radio so ni TV so discussing scandals and very often we don't even recover. But national service for 8 good years. Be betima tena asesa ghost names dia shame saa ye no aya culture da to them they feel free to do. I think that this institutional weakness now embedded in our governance system, no. As you finding a way to address them, and yes, how we will never move forward. I'm making sure that things like this, you know, the punishment will be so severe and will be so consequential to the stand say what when enya wakono say dear friend krono obekwa bobi. We need to send a message to people say aban sika frito from krana unya hu ni wura say uja no hokwa na ofa de kokoja. That is the culture that we need to establish in this country, and it's what I'm expecting President Mahama say going forward, you know. Obeye sa na man ya institute those things because the only difference between any people elsewhere in the Western world indiscipline, the culture of indiscipline everywhere. That's in true. A governance system.
That's trwill
be and they try to create a new way, either to steal, either to the obey. But those systems are there to check people. You understand? But my country say, yeah, nipai. We cover Pope be president. One check no babo no. And you know those incentives and opportunities and money pabo no. We need to take it away, and by making man know say there are consequences for our actions. But we live in a country where you do anything and you get away with it. And these are some of the things you wake up to. It's the reason why these people were bold enough to sit at the National Assembly Secretariat. Did what they did. Kanoforata Nemana or Yen, you know, the Omani Sikadi and said, boom, with that parliamentary approval. Yes, I nema. He knew. Jebi, again, Parliament. One of the institutions that are failing Ghana overwhelmingly.
I see. Which of the parliaments? Is it the 7th or the 8th parliament?
Let me use parliament. And way specifically, I'm talking about the parliament in April. Is it the 8th parliament? Yes. Because figures in the national service for providing, they were sending these figures to parliament.
Yeah.
Parliament has an oversight responsibility. Institution na national service kano. The Auditor General, they all have oversight responsibility. And are they telling us, yeah, the list about they don't do any background check? No one said the is that what they are telling us? So, what is the oversight responsibility of this state institution? Because Parliament, there is a reason why some of these lists, you know, you go through, you do your own background checks, you do to verify whether these numbers are correct, whether they are consistent. Numbers now you deploy, how many people actually went to the ground. There is a reason why such numbers must be submitted to Parliament. So Ubisa I say, Sanema wait to cost 8 years. Now Parliament oversight we no anti kache. Na obi antimi hu until fourth state make investigation and sana all drama for attention. Clearly it shows there is massive institutional weakness that must be addressed in this country. You understand? So in some no mayenja yankana sa kekesa corruption e kenoforiato and say there are fundamental weaknesses locked to the heart of our governance system that we need to sit down as people. Now you make sure say you address it by Croman and Semsia. We look at the individuals involved. We look at the political parties they are coming from. So we politicize the whole issue and we forget about the fundamental leakages underpinning institutions. As a address, so at the end of the day, you go after the people, the institutional weaknesses are there. Will come back, and other people will come and create it because national security, national service scandal. Mekasa President Mahama Emma Nkufo-Binim Tuyasika in 2016. So it means the fundamental problem at the time, payroll fraud, we couldn't address it at the time. But that was the time for us to look at these things. Now you're slotting in. Now you're making sure say you cave in. So I think they're going forward, We really need to get serious in this country and make sure say we punish crimes. And yes, sir, we will lose this country, our essence and everything that we stand for.
That's it.
Oh, Mami can be my brother. Okay.
I think so. Okay, man, quick one. I want to minute share this document. Ghanaian American comedian Bia.
He was the one and out.
Oh, okay. Let's go ahead. All right.
Okay, my brother, assistant pa, na Emma. It's my brother, Refi. Yanko Kaino. You free about 2016. Ono oba we no kan. We do have John Mahama. Obi Jane who say opese one dachi do nya $1 million. Then John Mahama here no.
Victoria Hammer.
Yes, and then John Mahama here no.
Opamono.
Yes. I know chance sari pakona e kan wasem. Me ma o yen patcho ni.
No, I mean a preview to Ghanaians.
No, even aside that. Let your camera capture this. You see, this time around no Nyaminti technology aba ama nkofobia na omo se omo na mako school bebe na omo di brofo ewu ya na me ti se obi minister bia nyame adom na wanya minister dia owi a onko edi ntina se ono no omo ti brofo na na brofo no ti brofo a ene che se wo nyansa wo Ghana
fatima da okay
Fatima Samson ye ma oba say we respect women. We give them acknowledge. Like me person make on her but say so wo ba o ti bi wa no ka say o ni motor brofo. Na brofo e na didi here. Brofo na didi like bo. Brofo e na fa trotro. Enya brofo sem o. Me fa brofo e me wiayen. Ye de atwi e na Hausa no e be boa Ghana. We don't need English. Share owo mo ti bo for mo share white a mo kura e fe say suitcase no. E ko no mo Ghana. E bro for ne bo ko na me brother I can say omo ko parliament house. Mo ti bo for mo parliament house. Sa na ma fu yi e ba mu he na no do ho. Onne ne nyame ase say John Mahama enye na dwe say oba no so. E ka me case na dwe say John ya ti krom ha. E na free education. Na na do e ka che say nipa 5.7 million. And now, Oma benefiting from free education. And then, former education minister. I say, a typo, and I said, it was a mistake. How come, boss, calculate any? No, calculate any. Money, okay, 5.7 million. Now, 3.5 million free more. Unya say. 80% inflated. They've inflated free education. 80%. Calculate 80% of 9.9 billion. Sika since 2017 till now. MPP are buying. Are spending our free education and I don't catch your parliament. No. And say, I'm spending 9.9 billion our free education.
Yeah. And that, JB,
yes, sir.
I think President Mahama buy since he took office.
Is it a second coming?
No, second coming.
Okay.
I think the legacy decision that he's taken to me the biggest one. I am very impactful. The biggest, and I am expecting saying Quebec getting a lot of traction within the media. The decision to pay bondholders.
Yes, I mean
it's the biggest decision that he's taken so far. Because with him, this DDEP in the first place, the buyer the same and the same kind of boy. Opinion the burden on Ghanaians, and they had the opportunity said they could pay, but because of winning your money almost one near money in the Ghana for console. So Emma Market Blanks here will can say we invested $1.2 million in this country, hoping say or the outcome no dividends no. But taking care of the school. At some point in time, he said, according to him, they were demanding 10% cuts
Yes.
in bribes and sana. And then almost the President Mahama taking that decision or joining the NDC. So it's about policy choices and policy decisions that he's taken. And to me, I think that is the best decision so far that he's taken. Ever bringing relief to people. Many people above 60 years, 70 years, their retirement being at the hospital. I know the ordeals people go through when they are at that age. You need to buy your drugs, medication, then as a form. And this uncle for no, fast as you can through on table, so a death sentence not pass their mom. What I say. So I think there is something that we need to look at. Now you're celebrating for that. Now going forward, and the akano, yen share, now yen deal, now yen come Sabaya in the future, no. Similar things of this nature, no, happen yet. I buy big man conquer and quasi abossing. I put in same muno, let a hunsun and so on. And method ordinary Ghanaian. So,
yeah, but your mind, yes, say, me teacher and say, practically, after Niaba, you cut 1 month.
Yes, so that is it. You have credit in Emma on your TV. Omono moboa ya itim enyasa information we be at the best more. Enti abusia ade a wo se Ghana yehu ni se saade we no corruption no, it is part and parcel of a before your life. It is a nyini mu a edin se bibini ebehu sika bebrebe na obeka se onwia edin se bibini behu sa dode wo ha no beja honom kro edin se bibini ebetwe ne ho afiri bribery and corruption. But I was here mbra bi bata ho se de na Ivan kan yetimi eye bibi conventional deterrent bi wo honom se be yo china bi no obi obebreach no na nipa kro ya den obi obricha na ya den na ye yi na di o china no kwadwomu anu ti ho no na ohwe hu se akwawe kra boom la so ye yi na di free public officer. I know I have to be very careful and I have to work hard. Intimately, yeah, I have the same option to be sacked. But I say, I know my Cecilia brother Pawi and Kabina Osonko over to jail. And so that very day, no, I did change that was Friday ade chin Saturday na Akufo-Addo de abont a letter about clearing agent and then what mo from Mahama clearing agent ayana mani ngwade on people for binom mo mani ngwade and then mo from Mahama clearing agent. Have you forgotten about his brother pa? The matter happened on Friday. Saturday and Pashel. Saturday the president released the Akufo-Addo release after this investigation. I know Sister Brother Pa will be clean. You see, such a shameless president we had. And then when baby catch it, you were John Mahama saw a clearing agent in that sense. I didn't know by what clear. Case I'm not D for Nantiko, you who moon needs substantive ABR or can say evidence be to back up. No. Now, I'm discontinue in order not to do what? Waste the resources of the country. What one on a more clearing agent? You people, if you did not take care, you'll be in opposition for a decade because the communication that you are bringing out, it is even spoiling everything. And it is sad. It is sad. Say baby Ghana a corruption level could do a coso, and we need to tackle our bets. We need to tackle our belt. We have to make sure say the very straight laws about corruption. Say obi ankoye bibi amma se bi ebusi bi nyado yamfana ntuji for life because of corruption. People will never change. People will never change. They will always chase money, and money no be chasing. So it is not for them. They will chase state money. They will be just say that is how Bibini lifestyle is. It means Mahama can work as a woman declare. If I be my emide, if I be so emide, because on the call, a can say the general and a secret no mark submit on the document will be or chani pano or say a padi we are gonna for him. If you actually know when you're yenim, a once and bar on the first I could clear. Ah, na intiko Akufo-Addo ayebi. Masa, mama may die hunsa. Democracy na ye no airtime. Before a mob democracy, very, very so ugly. Your democracy looking so pitiful. Your democracy a more boy. Your democracy look ugly, dark. Inti ya asem. Mami mfa unsi. Hana ma ye Mega TV. Ye beko so ase besrew. So be subscribe to your channel. Hadi no courage so na. Uchi no kura ntimi hwe eno de fat. Me kana kura na chiro. Me ka chiro UNDC UNP me ka chiro me nyese bi kwasia na makoka se omo wo mitu we enti nipa ni di se bi nsamfo kura na na di mani hwe no omo anwo me ntu omo amfa hwe me omo di second twa me funu ma. So there is nothing that I would defend in this country. I would never defend anything. So we are the nye be ka chiro UNDC we are the nye be ka chiro people ya de nye be ka chiro anyo omo ni ntia ho anyo political party bi etimi hunko for me no mudidi party echi na mo kasa gobe ene party ni buy no they are following them for appointment and they are following them for gifts. Those people are hypocrites. They are hypocrites. Mubenya yesu biyo na che mubenya yesu biyo na che. Shout out to Shetawale. I love this man. Mubenya yesu biyo na che mubenya yesu biyo na che. Yedi mubenya yesu na che o mubenya yesu be for okruma na che because we have devoted ourselves to Ghana, and there is nothing that will be my interest other than fighting for Ghana. Nothing. Maybe I need my interest than making this Ghana great and be comfortable to live in this country. That is my aim. Yankopon shiraw. Mama mi cheba for United States of America. Mami yankopon yokesi. Mami we be UK. Pon shiraw mami. Bibi ahwe begati. I salute you. Bye bye.